Listening Library presents Summer of the Mariposas by Guadalupe Garcia Mccall. Read for you by Kyla Garcia. Mariposa. Mariposa. From the Spanish mariposa, the apocryphate mari, Mary in English, and posa, to rest or repose. Butterfly. Mariposas are slender, delicate insects with 4 wide, colorful wings. In almost every culture, butterflies are associated with transformation. The Aztecs held the butterfly, papalotal, in high regard, and had a special celebration to welcome the migrating monarchs in early August every year. They believed that mariposas were the cheerful souls of their loved ones, the angels of women and children, their fallen warriors, their ancestors, returning home transformed to assure them that they were well and that life, however brief, was beautiful. To my 5 hermanitas, whom I love con todo mi corazón. Alicia, Virginia, Diamantina, Angelica, y Roxana, the Garcia girls, together forever, no matter what. Part 1. The Departure, in which my younger sisters and I find a drowned man in the Rio Grande, and how, with La Llorona as our mystical guide, we take a trip across the Eagle Pass border to return him to his family in El Sacrificio, Coahuila, Mexico. Prologue. El caso. Hazme caso o te caso con un sapo. The pot. Listen to me, or I will make you marry a toad. A play on the multiple meanings of the word caso. Pay attention and wed/marry. Almost a year after our father left the house, never to be heard from again, the long, miserable drought ended in Texas. The heavy summer rains had more than enchanted everyone. The days that followed had brought forth a most unexpected, spectacular surprise. To our delight, an unusually large brood of American snout butterflies swarmed Eagle Pass by the billions. Indiscriminate in taste, the mariposas flittered over cultivated gardens as happily as they danced over thorn-ridden lots and neglected fields. To them, nothing was safe. Nothing was sacred. Because they were everywhere, clinging to freshly scrubbed laundry on clotheslines or stuck to the bottom of well-heeled shoes, the butterflies were on everyone's most wanted list, including Mama's. She hated sweeping their brown, dusty corpses out of her kitchen and off her porch, but she especially hated how they followed her everywhere, like a dark little cloud. That same summer, Mama stopped being a housewife. After admitting to herself that Papa wasn't going to send any more money, she'd done the responsible thing and gone out and found her very first job. As for us, we tried staying indoors and playing loteria like Mama instructed. It was difficult, however, because to play loteria we needed a caller, un cantor, and Papa had always been ours. A good cantor can recite the traditional riddles for all 54 cards in the loteria by heart, as he reveals each card to the players. Riddles like, El caso que te hago es poco, were all right. But to keep things interesting, Papa had always altered the riddles and personalized them to fit our family. We'd squirm and giggle with joy and excitement every time a new riddle featured one of us. One day, however, right before he left, Papa made up a particularly ominous riddle. La sirena, he called, holding up the card for the mermaid. La mujer who wants to take your papa away. No, we won't let her. My parents were like any other parents. They bickered and made up all the time. But that day, the riddle upset Mama so much that the fight it stirred up between them soured the game for Papa. From then on, we played Loteria as a family with less and less frequency. So it was no surprise that after he left, we lost interest in playing the game altogether. The summer of the Mariposas, we abandoned our beloved Loteria for good, neglected our chores, and went completely wild. We cared for no one but each other, not even Mama. Because we were always unsupervised, we finally had the freedom to do whatever we wanted, wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted. On rainy days, I'd read a book and watch the girls as they played in the crowded shed behind our house. But on scorching summer days, when the pavement was so hot you couldn't sit on it, they made aluminum bracelets and arm cuffs out of the bottoms of soda cans they rubbed against hot cement sidewalks. Sometimes, they even costumed themselves with dusty curtains and old tablecloths, scissoring through the faded fabric with Mama's gardening shears, or tearing them apart with their bare hands. And when Mama would get upset because we weren't helping, we'd whine and then scrub out a pan or two before we'd take off again. Honestly, there was just too much fun to be had to pay her any mind. Some days we'd hike the hills beyond El Indio Highway, following the swarm of mariposas. They'd become our dusky shadows, our companions, as much a part of us as we were to each other. Most days, however, we rode our bikes as far away from home as we could get, a flighty brood of the tiny butterflies straggling behind us. With our chubby little sister Pita sitting precariously on the handlebars of my bike, we pedaled down to the river, rode through one of the large gaps in the 11-foot border fence, and swam for hours at a time, without drinking or eating anything more than the watermelons we chilled in the bank of our river. The waters of the Rio Grande were unruly and loud, but we had found an alcove far off El Indio Highway, a pebbled niche where the current swirled in peacefully and stayed for a while, as if to rest from its long, draining journey over boulders and through canyons all the way from California down to our miniature bay in Eagle Pass. There it pooled, relaxed, cleansed itself, and bubbled into laughter at the sheer joy of having us in its midst. We splashed around in that cold, clear water like river nymphs, born to swim and bathe till the end of days. It was a magical time, full of dreaminess and charm, a time to watch the mariposas emerge out of their cocoons, gather their courage, and take flight while we floated face up in the water. And that's exactly what we were doing the morning the body of a dead man drifted into our swimming haven. Chapter 1. La calavera. La calavera del muerto está en su huerto. The skull. The skull of the dead man is in his grove. Juanita reacted first. Being 14 and only second oldest, she didn't usually take charge. But when she felt the corpse floating beside her, she started pulling Pita out of the water as if she were a sopping Raggedy Ann doll. "Holy shiitake mushrooms!" The twins, Velia and Delia, shouted in unison, frozen in place by the sight of the body bobbing up and down and side to side, only a few feet away from us. I shrieked the way Mama would have if she'd been there with us. "Get out! Get out! Get out!" Grasping only the sleeve of Velia's shirt, I yanked her toward me with all my might. "Odilia," she complained, "let go of me. Get out of the water. Now. Okay, fine. But I thought you were yelling at him." She defended herself. I pushed her and Delia ahead of me. "Why would I be yelling at him? He's dead." We stood, all 5 of us drenched with fear on the bank of the river, staring wildly at the first cadaver we'd ever seen in our lives. It was spooky, like seeing a ghost floating face down in the water. His dark hair was long for a man. His thick tresses floated loosely around his head, like the black tentacles of a sea monster. "We should call someone." Pita shivered, pushing her wet hair out of her face.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?